It is time for the all-important elevator pitch. Always have your elevator pitch ready. How do you do that? Well, this class is going to teach you, okay? So, what do you do? Can you answer this effectively in 20 seconds or less? Most people cannot, and this is what's going to separate you from everyone else. So why is it called an elevator pitch? It seems like such a stupid name. Well, kind of is. It's called that because if you meet someone in an elevator, you have 20 to 30 seconds to talk to them and tell them what you do. That's kind of where the name elevator pitch came from. So it's really just more of symbolic. You really don't meet a lot of people in elevators. It's not where you meet a lot of clients or freelancers, but at the same time, it's called that because of its very nature of having 20 to 30 seconds to tell someone what you do and to pitch to them. So it has to be clear. So what is it exactly? Well, basically, it's a quick introduction of yourself and your business that can be delivered in 20 seconds or less. So everyone needs an elevator pitch, everyone that's in business, that is, whether you own a business or you just work for a business. An elevator pitch becomes more important when you're actually the one making money and you want to sell someone, but it's not a hard sale type of pitch. It's more of just an introduction and a story, and we'll go through the different components of it right now. So why do you need it? Well, there's two main reasons. One, face-to-face introductions. That's the reason why elevator pitches were needed for a very long time. But now the internet is so prevalent, you really need it for internet communications as well, because from an elevator pitch, you can develop all sorts of different things like taglines and brand messaging and mission statements and value propositions and unique selling propositions. So an elevator pitch describes exactly what you do. Are you a B2B consumer product writer? And for those of you who don't know what B2B is, it's just business to business. And then you might also see B2C, which is business to consumer, and much less frequent B2G, business to government. So are you a B2B consumer products writer? Are you a pet products designer? You know, that is exactly what you do. So that doesn't describe why you're different. A good elevator pitch actually differentiates you from the others, but that is the gist of what overall an elevator pitch will do. It'll separate you from the competition and basically tell the person that you're talking to exactly what niche you cover. And now what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to tailor it. So the story or introduction that you share with a potential business client might be different from one that you'd present to a freelancer or somebody of the media, an editor of a publication. So you're going to want to tailor your pitch a little bit. It shouldn't be completely different, but a little bit each time towards your audience. So at this point, you might be thinking, I'm not interesting enough to be different. In what order should I present these details? First things first, know who you're speaking to and what the end result would be. If you're speaking to a freelancer, what's your end result? Are you looking to get a business card out of them? If you're speaking to a potential client, what's your end result? Are you looking for a meeting? Okay, so before you even start speaking, understand what the end point will be. And then you want to keep it as simple as possible. Okay, so for example, in my case, hi, I'm Mike Volkin, and I'm a marketing strategist and fractional CMO. That's pretty simple. Okay, a lot of people might have not heard the word fractional, but hey, that's something that can be inquisitive and people can ask a question at the end. Oh, what does fractional mean? But when I mean keep it simple, I mean don't use statistics or industry terms that are so complicated that, hey, I'm a coder, I do blah, blah, blah coding. It's like, you know what, you're a coder, all right? And then you can go into the details later on. But in terms of your introduction sentence, it should be simple. And for the love of God, at this point, here's my little part in parentheses, for the love of God, make eye contact. It is so off-putting when you introduce yourself to someone and that other person doesn't make eye contact or is even facing in the other direction. So, a couple tips there when you start your elevator pitch. Number one, you make eye contact. Number two, you shake their hand if it's appropriate, and in most cases it is. And you give a firm handshake, not a limp fish handshake, okay? Or not like a little fist bump or slap on the wrist. You do a handshake. And then you face them in the right direction. There's a technique for that. It's called the belly button technique. And if your belly button is facing their belly button, you are in a good position to make a solid first impression. Okay, so make sure you have all those when you start your elevator pitch. And what's so tough about that? Well, that was just the intro, just saying your name and what you do. That's the easy part. So now we're actually going to develop the pitch. But to do so, you have to really think about how are you going to help these people. So the next step is to tell them how exactly you're going to help them. So to add on what I just said, hi, I'm Mike Volkin. I'm a marketing strategist and fractional CMO. I help business owners with their strategy, direction, and management of their marketing process and teams. I say this all the time. I could say it backwards, forward, all sorts of different speeds and directions. I could say it in an airplane, in an elevator, on a boat, anywhere. I can just say it anytime you ask me to say my elevator pitch. That is what I say, and I've said it dozens and dozens of times. It sounds good because I say it so often. I don't stutter. I could say it in my sleep. All right, and that's the way I want your elevator pitch to be. Now I want you to tell a story. So I'm going to add on to that. In fact, just recently, I helped a company that builds wheelchairs for dogs get a ton of exposure on Google with a scholarship program I helped them implement. At this point, you wowed them because in such a short amount of time, you showed them your success, but also left it open for questions. At this point, they could be thinking, wow, a company that makes wheelchairs for dogs? Now you might think, well, that's not really something I want them to focus on, but it is because you have an interesting client and you work with interesting clients. The purpose of this point is to further the conversation. You want them to think about you and you want them to ask a question. You got them great exposure on Google in a way that I never thought of. I never thought of doing it by a scholarship program. If they're a business owner, they're like, I've been thinking about getting exposure on Google through all these inbound marketing techniques like SEO and influencer marketing and paid ads. I never thought about doing a scholarship program. That's interesting. At this point, you want to continue the conversation. I usually wait for their reaction to see if they're going to speak. Okay. And most of the time, 90% of the time they do. They follow up with a, that's interesting. Here comes another question. Okay. But if they don't, then I ask a question. I'll ask something like, hey, have you ever created a scholarship program for your company? You know, if this is a small business owner, have you ever done that? This might sound a little salesy to you, but everybody talks differently, both verbally and non-verbally. I want you to develop an elevator pitch that sounds natural to you, not like you're selling somebody. The way I say this, the way I say that what I just described on screen sounds very natural. I'm not selling them anything, because if you can see me pitch it, I'm not, verbally and non-verbally, I'm not selling them something. I don't look like a car salesman, the big old smile, and I'm trying to lure them into something bigger and better. It's just a natural conversation. I've said it so many times, I can say it very naturally. I want you to create an elevator pitch. I want you to watch this video again and take every component of the elevator pitch and develop it as if I do lockstep in this very class, okay? Don't dread this assignment. A lot of people are like, I'm not good with words and I don't like doing this kind of stuff. This will pay off so much for you in the long run that you really need an elevator pitch now. Please do not skip this step, because this is a foundational communication requirement for a lot of things you're going to be developing in the future, like your unique selling proposition and your value proposition, your tagline for your website. So you really need this, okay? Hope you enjoyed it.